Welcome to the region's only public safety radio talk show. It's time again for the Sheriff's Report, your weekly radio call from Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich, now in its third year on the air.
Radio base to the Sheriff. Come in, Sheriff.
Well, good afternoon, folks. This is Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich with the Sheriff's Report. We're going to do something a little different. Since it is campaign season and since the ballots are out, I'm going to turn it over to Kent Adams.
It's kind of a dangerous thing, isn't it?
It is, very much so. And he's going to ask me questions about the 12 years that I've been the Spokane County Sheriff. With that in mind, folks, those ballots are out. Voting is the most important thing you do as an American citizen. It's the greatest gift that we were ever given, the right to determine our own destinies as a people. We're not doing that very well. You know, during the primaries, sometimes down to 25%.
Yeah.
You cannot allow the extremes of either side to dictate the direction of this country. You need to get out, you need to vote, and that is one of the most important duties that we do. My grandmother was adamant that you went and voted, period. So that was drilled into me from the very beginning, Kent. I really believe that that is the most important thing we as an American citizen can do.
Absolutely. I don't think I've ever missed an election to vote. I remember voting the very first time. Back in those days, which would have been back in the last century, of course, you had to be 21 to vote. And my very first vote was for Bobby Kennedy in Los Angeles. And within hours after that, he was assassinated. That was quite an experience for a new voter. But I've always found a way to vote, even when I did election night coverage with Mike Fitzsimmons. I did absentee ballot so that I could go to the radio station and do coverage. Ozzie, good to be here. Let me just preface this segment with the fact that some people talk about, well, Kent, you're always taking one side or the other, and that is true often on the programs where I either host or guest like I am now. But for a station, we open it to all viewpoints, and you can watch all of our programs and see clearly, though sometimes I don't agree with the hosts and their guests, but we have them on because we want to be fair to everybody. That being said, there will be very few people in this election that I come out and support adamantly, and you are one. I've gotten to know you the last couple of years. We've pretty much met every Thursday morning to record this, or in this case, live out on our live stream for video. And I've come to know you as one of the most honest, caring people that I've come across in my life. And you do a good job. When I mention your name, everybody else smiles and said, "Yes, Ozzie." And I get a little upset when I see some of these other folks out there, even on the far right especially, who want to take after you, and then of course on the far left, probably criminals to start with. And I expect that they won't like you, they won't like your deputies and so forth. But thank you for the service and for leading us for 12 years. We need 4 years more, okay? So with that being said, I've got a series of questions I've written down. One is, Ozzie, we have become a regional national training center here in Spokane. That's not only good for your deputies and others, but passing along great ideas to others in the country. Talk about that.
You know, Ken, one of the things that when I became sheriff, you could have fit our training unit basically right in this area.
Oh, that's sad.
And we had roughly a $50,000 training budget.
Oh,
now,
wow.
you try to train 240 police officers, deputies, with that type of money, it's impossible, because the price of a class can be $1,000.
Yeah.
So what we did is we developed a philosophy that we decided, well, we'll host the training. We'll bring the training here, and we get free seats.
Yes. Okay.
Now, since we did that, that means agencies from across the state, and quite frankly, from across the world.
Right.
People don't realize we've had people from Israel, people from Malaysia, Australia, Japan come to Spokane county.
What
to
great
train.
information and training for our people, especially.
Exactly.
I mean, I look at it selfishly when it's good for Spokane, not to mention the visitors coming here too, which is good for hotel rooms and everything else that goes on.
And that's the
Yeah.
flip side to it.
Yeah.
We may have saved, over $4 million, and that's not a may. We have definitively saved $4 million in
Right.
training costs. But we've also brought in over $3.5 million in economic benefit to the region.
Wow, okay.
Because of our training.
Yeah.
And one of the goals that I have for this 4 years, the United States Air Force has offered to team up with the Sheriff's Office and build a state-of-the-art firing range.
Wow.
That can be turned into a regional training center.
Absolutely.
And anchored right at the racetrack out west.
Okay, okay.
There's no other track like that except for Tri-Cities and Shelton for law enforcement to train on.
In this area, wow.
And we could not build that track for what we paid for that track.
Yeah.
So we have the opportunity to really bring in some fantastic training and to have a great facility if we can just get some wrinkles done. I would hate to see this opportunity go by
Yeah.
when the Air Force is willing to pay the bulk of building that facility.
Wow. When do you think we might have an answer in the next 6 months, 12 months?
Well, I've been working on it 6 years, so
okay.
hopefully
Okay.
it really does need to.
It's got to go through a process. I understand
It
that.
comes
They
down
all-
to the Board of County Commissioners going, okay, yes, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And that is one of my main goals, is to ensure that we have a proper facility, because we don't. The Sheriff's Office does not own a training facility. We don't own a range. We have to borrow.
Wow.
We're in a holding pattern right now. We've been kicked out of 4 different buildings because the buildings get
Yeah.
tore down on us.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we're just
I
renting.
remember one of the last in the old U City out
Yes.
there. Yeah. You bring up a point on the firing range issue, and I'm going to digress for a second because just a couple of mornings ago, we had a shooting where a deputy had to protect his own life and others when a car was headed toward him, and he was able to shoot, I believe, 5 or 6 shots, and was able to hit the person and protect his own life and probably others, and not hit the passenger in the car. That tells me a couple of things, and where I want to go with this. One is he was a darn good shot. Okay, and that's important because he was aiming at a target and not aiming where necessarily would hit houses or other cars and that sort of thing. So congratulations on obviously some training and practice that worked. But also what I worried about, and I sent you a text, is you and I have discussed, I don't know how many times, the effect that it has, even though this is a clear self-defense. It'll go through the process and be declared, and I understand that. So it's not official yet. But there's nothing to indicate that it was anything but self-defense, okay? That being said, that officer is probably on leave for a while, okay? There are certain things you can and cannot say to him because of the process it has to go through. But more importantly, he killed somebody. That affects him. And when I see that, Ozzie, I worry about the effect on him. I don't know if he's married or family and all of that, but it's devastating. Even though everybody around him will say, and including myself, that it was self-defense. You had to do that. However, none of us like to kill anybody.
Kent, once you pull that trigger, your entire life changes.
Yes.
My profession has an 85% divorce rate for males, 90 to 100% for females.
Wow.
The pressures of the things they see, and when you add the fact of having to take a human life, some of them never recover from that.
I can only
They
imagine.
lose their families, some lose their careers.
Yes.
It is devastating because it's not natural for a human to want to kill another human, especially if you've been raised properly.
Yeah.
There are certain things we were taught way back when, thou shalt not kill.
Right.
That's drilled into you.
Yeah.
And
it was on the old-fashioned tablet.
The old-fashioned, some of that that old school learning.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, these are devastating events. You know, what the public really doesn't know, because for some reason the media doesn't grasp the right pieces. We have had a report during that situation was that the female in that vehicle was possibly a kidnapped victim.
Yes, yes.
Those deputies did an outstanding job finding that vehicle,
Yes.
chasing that vehicle, and saving that victim.
Yeah.
And
Very easily, she could have been killed
she was severely
by the
beaten.
driver.
Yes, she was severely beaten.
Yes.
She could have been killed.
Yeah.
The reality is that deputy did an outstanding job that night. But here's the cold heart reality. When I walk in and to check on him, I can't say anything to him.
Yeah.
I can't, give him anything because
You can't prejudice the case.
Yeah, because I'm the one that has to take a
Yes.
look at all
Yeah.
of this. I can't tell him and give him the one thing that he's looking for, validation that he did it right.
Yeah.
Because that is immediately, as soon as that happens,
Yeah.
you're going, did I follow the laws?
Yep.
Did I follow the
Yep.
policies?
Yep.
Did I do my training? He's looking for validation at that point.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah.
I can't give that to him, and I have to step back
Yeah.
because I have to be
Do they know that?
non-biased.
Do they know that from
They-
training and so forth? That
They may know that, but it doesn't make it any
No,
better.
okay.
It doesn't make it any
Yeah.
easier. But that is part of leadership.
Yeah.
You cannot be biased because I have to make the ultimate decision.
Is the name known to the public?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. I don't know who it is then. Would you tell him on behalf of this community and the people I know that he did the right thing and thank you? So
can-
it would be my words that you or somebody would tell him?
In the future, I can do that.
Okay.
But
Because
once it gets all
they're
reviewed,
out there for us,
and
Ozzie,
I
you
get it.
guys.
But you know how it is, Kent.
Yeah.
You have people in this community that want to continually say that we cover things up.
Yes.
I'll buy
Yeah.
anybody out there a lunch
Yeah.
if you can show me one thing we've covered up.
Yeah.
Anything. I'll go in front of cameras with you and say, yeah, we covered that
Yeah,
up.
but we got
If
some
you can
extreme
find it.
folks out there that think they know better than what is said.
Exactly.
And I think of the Holyoke case.
Holyoke
case out there, and people have taken me on, and I've gotten off the Facebook with them. Some folks, especially in the valley, that you've covered it up, and you're taking the side of Ozzie, and how dare you say, Kent, that it was the fault of the young man at age 14 going across a red light. I'm sorry, when we do something illegal, which he was doing, we take a chance. When we walk across the street on a red light, when we walk in the middle of a block that's illegal, we take a chance.
Well, here's the thing, though. A lot of people, for some reason, that's an easy thing to say. Cover up, cover up, cover up.
Yeah.
But let's take a hard look at that. How many times was that reviewed? And by the way, every ounce of evidence that was found by law enforcement or agents acting for and on behalf of law enforcement.
Right.
I'm the one that actually hired the expert that found the alleged hat print.
Yeah.
That came from me.
Yeah.
That expert looked at it initially, agreed with all the other experts. The plaintiff's attorney came up with the theory, and that's all it was. Matter of fact, that theory came from the police report. The detective said in order for this to happen, this would have had to happen.
Right.
That became their theory. At that point, our expert looked at that theory and went, okay, let's take it. And he tore everything apart and went, I found this on the impression on the bumper after, some really technical computer work.
Yeah.
And he got a hold of me and says, hey, what do I do? I said, what do you mean, what do you do?
You pursue it.
You verify that, and as soon as it's verified, we go in front of the cameras and we give the people what the information is. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you really want a lunch and have me go on camera, find something that we covered up. You're not going to find it.
Yeah.
I find it very despicable for government agencies to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I will not do that, and I demand that my staff will never do that.
One of the things that I've been impressed about is in the last 12 years, you took over a sheriff's department that needed some cleaning out, And since then, you have not tolerated your officers misbehaving. You have either put them on restriction for a while or terminated a number of folks. And I keep hearing, well, he's fired so many. Well, because Ozzie has high standards and he expects his deputies to have high standards. Talk about what you've done.
You know, I look at it this way. Some people say my standards are too high. And I tell people there's no such thing. Every organization out there has standards. You have a choice.
Yes.
You can be a good agency or a great agency.
Yeah.
The difference between good and great is this. Great agencies actually hold people accountable to the standards that they set.
Right.
And we do. A lot of those terminations came because deputies internally reported on their peers.
Okay.
And that's a sign of a healthy agency.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because they knew that the boss
Because it
was going
reflects
to
on
do
them
something. Yes.
and their buddies.
Yep. They knew that the sheriff was going to do something about it. They knew that the sheriff was not going to tolerate, this performance is not there. 68 people have been terminated in 12 years.
Wow. Okay.
And I don't wear that as a badge of honor. That is just the facts. So it goes back to the cover-up and all that theory.
Yeah.
If I'm willing to terminate 68 people, you're telling me that I would cover something up?
Yeah.
Let's
ludicrous.
face it. In 2014, I drew the ire of all the police unions in the state because I and all 38 of my peers tried to change a state law that said police officers should not be allowed to lie or commit crimes on duty. We only had 5 representatives that touched Spokane at the legislative level join us. That was Senator Padden, Senator Baumgardner, Representative Parker, Representative Fagan, and Representative Kretz. That was it. We had 2 fight us vehemently, the most vehemently being Matt Shea.
Yeah.
We tried to hold the standard. We couldn't get that law out of committee.
Yeah.
That shows how committed the sheriffs of this state are to the public's trust.
Will that come back?
That is the only thing that we have. We're working on trying to figure out how.
Yeah.
Because how do you build a coalition?
Got to get it out of committee.
Because
so can you get that far?
What we heard from representatives across the board was, one of the sheriffs came back to me and said, Ozzie, here's what my rep said. Sheriff, you don't cut big checks come election time.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, okay. How do you fight that?
It comes back to the union problems that we've seen, and some of that has been changed by the Supreme Court recently. So maybe we'll have a little more flexibility because some union members don't always agree with what their union paid leadership wants to do.
I can tell you that the rank and file of the sheriff's office did not agree with their leadership in the union.
But that's true in most unions, Ozzie. I don't care what it is. It really is. But it's the leadership at the top that draw the big salaries and everything else.
But the thing is, after 2014, the Deputy Sheriff's Association cleaned house.
Yeah.
None of that leadership's left.
Ah, okay. One of the things I'd like to talk about is Scott McClay.
No.
Yeah. Otherwise known recently legally, I guess, as dumpozzie.com. I would call him a showman a bit, doing a stunt. I don't know. Clearly, you're going to win this election overwhelmingly. Last time, 4 years ago, you had a policeman, I think, that wanted your job, and some others, and kind of that faction out there supporting him, and you still won by 72%. And I think recent poll numbers say that you're in the 80 to 85 range, and probably going to be higher, given your opponent, because you, for all practical purposes, don't have an opponent. But he's out there, he gets some press, he won't really talk with the media. I was surprised he did come in and do the meet the candidate thing, but we don't in that ask issue questions and so forth, so it's pretty safe for everybody. He's out there yelling, screaming, standing. He does not have the greatest history, does he?
Yeah, he's a criminal.
Okay. And
point
what, four times, 6 times divorced, bankruptcies several times?
Lost his real estate license. The state of Idaho called him very dishonest when they pulled that license.
Okay.
This guy is
I can
This
only
guy's a bully and an intimidator.
Yeah.
He has bullied people out of public office. He has bullied reporters out of the business.
Yeah.
This guy is not a very nice individual, and I'm not going to dwell on him.
No.
Because he brings really nothing to the table. He doesn't come. It's all about people. This job is all about
Yes.
people. Every single year, not just election year, Kent, and you know this
Yeah.
because people will tell you one thing: I see the sheriff everywhere.
Yes.
And and I swore that I told my wife, I said, when I became sheriff, before we even decided to make that step,
Yes.
our lives are no longer ours.
No.
Because I refuse to be the type of politician that only comes around every 4 years and asks for your
Yes.
vote.
Right.
Every year, from May through September, we are at every single
Yes.
community event that I
That
can
amazes
physically
me,
be at.
Ozzie, honestly.
And there's a reason for that. Public trust.
Yes.
In order to trust something, you have to know it,
Yeah.
and you have to know it is sincere.
Yeah.
What's the best way for people to know the sheriff's office and to know what we stand
To
for?
see you, shake your hand, come
Exactly.
up, find out that you're actually human.
and that has that is what people say across the board. So my commitment is to the people.
Yeah.
My opponent doesn't show up to any of those events.
Yeah.
Even during this election season, he is not showing up to one
Well,
event.
as I said, it's a stunt. Look, we won't spend any more time on it. He's not worth the time, okay? One of the things that I keep hearing from friends as they talk and even folks that have come in on various programs is crime is up in the Spokane area. Address that.
It
Is
may
it-
be up in the city of Spokane.
Okay.
I can't speak to that because I don't know their numbers. We can ask
But how about the
Craig to
county where
come
you're in charge?
We're down.
Okay.
We've been down.
Including property crimes?
Property
Because we
crimes
keep
is
hear a
down.
lot about that.
Yeah. Property crimes for almost the last 5 years in the unincorporated area has been falling.
Good.
In the valley, it's been the last 4 years.
Wow.
This year, compared to last year, especially in the valley, it's like double-digit decrease.
Wow, okay.
Since
Why? What do you attribute that to? Good policing, I get that. But
I have some very committed individuals that go out and do a great job. They make me look really great. And that is, it's a philosophy. You go out and you do the job and you do it for the people.
yes.
We don't tell people no. We do our best to say, look, we'll do everything we can. Now, there are cases we can't get to
Yeah.
because we just do not have the staffing or the manpower. We never recovered the 32 deputies that were lost between 2008 and 2010. The county's population continues to grow. There's a point where we can only do so much, but we go out and we take the worst criminals off because of our business model.
Yeah.
Our business model isn't simply assembly line investigation. Well, here's a case going. No, where's this crime wave happening? Who's committing this crime wave, and go get them.
Yeah.
And we take them off the street. Crime goes down. Our problem is we may put them in jail, they don't stay in jail.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
they don't even stay in jail 72 hours at sometimes.
gee.
And these are people walking around with 50 burglaries.
Okay. Well, and you talk about crime. What does that do to overtime, and so forth? And then I'm going to ask you about the budget. But what does that's got to cost? Since you're down deputies and everything else, the only way sometimes when there are big things going on, I would say like the other morning with that, obviously it's all hands on deck that aren't patrolling out there. The rest of them are all over there to help secure the scene and traffic and everything else. That's got to cause overtime. What does that do to your budget? I presume you have an overtime line in your budget.
We do.
Yeah.
And I can tell you almost a date and time that we lost control of our overtime budget.
Yeah.
June 19th, 2012.
Okay.
At that point, we lost 4 deputies because of one shooting on the north side of Spokane County. And we have not been able to recover that manpower since, because between between losing the 32 deputies and then losing 4 on top of that because of the shooting aspects, and we ultimately lost 3 permanently. They could no longer do the job because of that.
And you lost them because they're off on the side while the investigation is going on and all that, right?
Exactly.
They can't patrol, can't, yeah.
That, remember when I told you to be pulling the trigger?
Yeah.
And being shot at affects people. Well, it affected them.
We have 2 minutes left. I want to get into the budget directly because the one thing I keep hearing from you every week that you're in here, either privately as you come in or on the air, is the budget issue. What do we need? What kind of increase do we need for this next year? I mean, what do I and others watching right now need to go lobby the 3 commissioners, because public safety is the #1 issue? Okay.
Well, if you remember, last year I was looking at a $1.3 million cut.
Yes.
What you don't realize is since 2012, August of 2012, we told the Board of County Commissioners and the Budget Office, you have underfunded this agency $1.6 million. It's underfunded. That has continued. So when they went 1.3, that wasn't 1.3, it was 2.9. So what we need is we need to find a way to prioritize the overall county budget, and we are properly funded because I'm buying used cars for deputies. The deputies' patrol cars are over 200,000 miles, and that is a major
ridiculous.
Safety issue.
I'm sorry, that's just plain ridiculous.
So we need, and the thing is, we created a budget office so we could control our budget, and we only fund programs that work.
We have 30 seconds left, I'm told, so 30 seconds is yours.
You know, Kent, it's been a great 12 years.
Yeah.
At times it's been rough, but I've enjoyed serving the people of Spokane County. It's been my pleasure to serve you. It's been my pleasure to work side by side with you to make our community better. And I hope that you'll give me another 4 years to accomplish some more things. We want to have our training unit accredited, our forensics unit accredited. That should happen this fall.
Great.
And we want to see the completion of that training center so we can build professional law enforcement in this region.
Well, Ozzie, on behalf of my wife and myself, we've already voted for you.
Thank you.
And we look forward to the next 4 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ozzie Knezovich, and I've been your sheriff for the last 12 years. Folks, I believe high standards lead to highly trained and motivated professionals that keep our community safe. I know high standards are what the people of Spokane County expect and what they should demand. Because of my stance on high standards, crime rates are down. Over the past 12 years, we have seen the lowest violent crime rates in 2 decades. Please vote Ozzie Knezovich for sheriff.
Paid for by the committee to elect Ozzie Knezovich for sheriff.
The Sheriff's Report is a joint production of Spokane Talks Media and KTW 630 AM and 96.5 FM, which are solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, or watch this program again anytime at SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Have a safe day.